fight's not over.
Stop the fight!
People.
Everybody, I come here for everybody. Kill everybody. I'm the champ. I'm the king. Kill everybody. Ah!
Alright guys, welcome back to Broke Bets. We got Carson here with me, Lane.
Exciting last pay-per-view. Is probably one of the better cards of the year.
Oh, one of the best cards I've watched. We had a really good betting night. I know I did like a little late recap after the event, but I want to give you a chance to also talk about some of these fights and some of our results here. So we went positive 2.87 units, and again went positive into the main event. Was always a great feeling. But we had Poirier here in the first fight, which I ranked probably the third best fight of the year. I don't know if that's how you see it.
It was alright. First round was good, and then kind of slowed down.
Well, I mean, it was still a comeback win for Poirier. You would debate that he could be down 2 rounds. I had it 1-1. I think on the judges' scorecards they had it 1-1. But
I thought Poirier won the first round.
Yeah, just by the final damage.
The live odds were super crazy. It was like 2 minutes into the fight, then Chandler was the favorite, like even odds, and then he jumped up to a like minus 200 favorite, and then Poirier came back and it was like even, and then he was at like a 200 favorite.
Right.
So it was jumping back and forth.
Chandler's got the ability to beat literally anyone, but then also lose a fight like that to a lot of people, just being in a dogfight. So
that was his first time being submitted too.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody need that jiu-jitsu, or whatever Poirier said. And then obviously the next one, Pereira. Got a lot of shit for picking Pereira. I don't know why it was controversial. I said this in the recap video. Pereira looked unbelievably large at ceremonial weigh-ins and like going into the fight. And Izzy looked really hesitant. Well, I talked about, man, if Izzy would have gone forward and pushed Pereira back, he would have had a lot more success, but he was kind of just playing the leg kick game and waiting until Pereira could snipe him. And, yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought Adesanya was being a little bit too safe, and it costed him.
And in the wrestling, like they kept on saying Pereira was gassed. I mean, I thought the wrestling actually took the gas out of Izzy as the fight went on, and Pereira still holds that power in the 5th round. He just, is careful when those shots go off. And Pereira's saved by the bell in round 1, but at the same time, that like 5 to 10 second mark, people don't really expect strikes to be flying. He still definitely got caught,
Yeah, I thought outside of the last 10 seconds, I thought Pereira would have won that first round.
Right, and Izzy just didn't like getting touched, man. Every hand that came near him, he hasn't really been hit by jabs, Izzy, since like Rob Whittaker, and it showed to have an effect every single time he got hit. In a rematch, I'd still have to pick Pereira to that crazy weight cut, and the confidence of Pereira in MMA is going to be greater as well. So
I think they showed a video. He was at like 210 the next day during fight day.
I mean, it was like Izzy looked huge compared to everyone he faces, and Pereira looked insanely big. So, but yeah, got that pick right. And yeah, new champion makes the division cool. Next, we had Olberg. We got all the city kickboxing fights right on who won or lost too. Olberg made pretty easy work. Another weird pick. I think we got kind of some shit from, but Nikolai didn't really use his wrestling. I don't think he actually could use his wrestling. I think a lot of people are complaining about that, but it's really hard to get in range on this dude. This dude is really lengthy. Carlos kept the fight at range, used his footwork to get out of scenarios where the wrestling could be used, and it's kind of like we said, he'd keep the fight at his pace, and he just slept him real fast, so that was nice.
Yeah, I don't think Nikolai even touched him once. Olberg completely dusted him, and
that's the best odds you'll ever get Olberg at again.
Yeah.
You'll never see that dude minus minus 120 ever again. He'll probably be minus 320 until he gets a really competitive fight.
Right.
Next, Moicano, Money Moicano.
Big money.
Awesome interview. Brad Riddell, he kind of just lacks the diversity in his game. It's left hook, right hook. That's just his style. And Moicano just stayed out of range of that stuff. Touched him until he got a submission. So I think that's exactly the prediction we kind of said. It wasn't technically a club and sub, but Moicano got it to that area, and he dominated on the feet as well. My next bet, Reyes. Reyes got dusted, and man, how do you say you're Reyes 2.0 and say you're great defensively, and you get hit? Like, Ryan Spann goes 100% on strike connection with you. I don't know. I don't want to like hurt like or be mean about him for too much, but like he did 4 naked body kicks with his chin up in the air. He got touched every time, and then ran into a strike. So tough turnaround. He's cursed. He's kind of like Cody Garbrandt now, I think, and I can't touch him anymore as a better.
Yeah, especially at that weight class. Once your chin is gone, I mean, not getting that back.
Right. And then
so many people have power in that division. It's tough to come back from.
I mean, yeah, I guess it was just a bad read on my part. I didn't think Spann was as good as a fighter, and well, I guess maybe he's improved because he said he trains now, but we'll see. Next one, Julio Arce, Montel Jackson. Lost on it, not much shame in it. His takedown defense showed up, but Montel used the length way better. And that third round, I think it wouldn't even have mattered if Arce won round 3 because he was down on the cards for 2 of the judges, so didn't matter. Moving on, Edgar by decision.
Yeah, Livon's had him as the favorite after the first round.
It's weird. It was impossible first round to score because he got controlled on the fence, but then one takedown. I'm surprised Arce didn't go back to the takedowns because he got that first one pretty easily. But next I had Edgar by decision. Took a chance on it. Gutierrez moved well, and man, it's just another brutal knockout. Like he just isn't even getting knocked out by punches as of recently. It's just knees and feet. Step in, knee, and dropped. And you were right. You got me.
Yeah, I mean, once your chin's gone and you're that old,
he did move pretty well for the first couple minutes. He dodged some leg kicks, but he's so.
Yeah, where was the takedown attempt?
Usually on Vieira, when Vieira brought a knee or a kick forward, that's when Edgar went for the takedown. So like when the knee came up, he went for the takedown and ran into the knee. So. It sucks, but whatever. Not a good way. There's no retirement fights. Don't seem to work that great. But moving on, you had Dominic.
Especially having all your kids there.
What's that? Anyway, having your kids.
I said, especially having your kids there.
Oh yeah, and then you had Reyes and Spann not going to round 3. That was easy.
Yeah, I mean. I don't think that we need to talk about that. That was
right.
Probably the easiest bet of the night.
And then we've already talked about these two, but Montel Jackson and Poirier for the start those rounds listed. Obviously the Poirier Chandler one, I was yelling like survive Chandler at the end of round 1, but the Arce Montel one hit pretty simply. And then to end it, I had Azatar and Matt Frivola to not go the distance. I could have easily just done under 1.5 in this fight, but I didn't know if Matt Frivola would not try to be much of a striker. We also picked Matt Frivola, but it's a little bit just like... I think that not going the distance is just the safest thing you could have done in that fight. And then Wellington, Turman, and Petrosky. I could have sworn Turman went to sleep from that arm-in guillotine that Petrosky had, mounted him, and then... Turman's head just fell off to the side, then he woke up when his head hit the ground, and I don't know, I lost it, but that was one of the few fights that went to decision.
Yeah, I don't know how we got out of that one. Yeah. If we had that one, we would have been like 4.5 plus units.
Yeah, it would have been a even better night. And Yeah, those are the bets for UFC 281. Sorry we took a long time, but it's a remarkable event to recap. So let's get into the picks. Okay, for the first fight of the night, we have Natalia Silva versus Tereza Bleda. In my opinion, this fight is a bit of a lose-lose for people that want to make picks out there. I think you're either going to look stupid one of two ways. It's either going to be Natalia Silva defends all the takedowns, and you say, well, she defended all of her takedowns in her last fight. Why would I pick Tereza Bleda? That just feels stupid. Or you pick Tereza Bleda, and she can't get a takedown, and Natalia runs away with it, or she takes Natalia down and just runs away with the win. So I think off of the assumption of the Jasmine Judavicius fight with Natalia Silva, it's fair to say that she has pretty good takedown defense and can stop these takedowns. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, going into the Jasmine fight, we didn't know what we were going to get with Silva because he was been out for 2 or 3 years since that fight.
Right.
So, I mean, we went with Jasmine in that one, but that's besides the point. I think Silva looked really good, really fast, quick, and stuffed every single takedown. And even if it goes down to the mat, I think she can get up or find a way to get up.
And you're looking at two really young fighters here, and this is a really good fight, actually, for a women's fight. Bleda gotten takedowns in all of her fights. I haven't seen a point where she's really struggled too much to get the takedowns. Her stand-up really doesn't... It shouldn't be comparable to Silva. She's big, but doesn't seem to have any expertise on this feet. Just kind of is there. But it's gonna be a tough fight to totally predict here. I'd say Bleda she really likes a double leg over what Jasmine Judavicius does, which is more of a body lock and trip. Which it's a better sign for a wrestler in that instance, but the question is how much damage will she do on the feet or on the ground. If she gets it to the ground, Silva might be able to fight back to her feet, like you were saying. And this is just entirely tough, but Silva decision just stands out here, and yeah, I think she wins this fight on the feet. But again, I think this is an even odds fight. Yeah. Anything else from you?
Yeah, both young prospects. I mean, Bleda's got like a 5-inch height advantage and a 6-inch reach advantage.
I will say, yeah, like the height and the reach and the overall size. I think Bleda cuts a lot more weight. She used to fight 135, and Silva used to fight 115. So like this is a weird number for them to meet at. Hopefully it doesn't play into the takedowns too much, but yeah, Natalia Silva by decision. Okay, for the next fight we have Fernie Garcia versus Brady Hiestand. In this one, you're looking at kind of I don't think there's a giant skill differential between these two, but what you're looking at, I think, is a more patient fighter in Fernie Garcia versus a more aggressive fighter in Brady Hiestand. And at a young age here for Brady, you know, he went on the Ultimate Fighter, had some decent performances, and had a close fight with Ricky Turcios. If he's going to be in this fight, I'd assume he has to make he made a lot of improvements coming up with his time off. And I like his size here and physicality, and I think he wins against Fernie Garcia here. What do you think?
Fernie, I mean, he doesn't really seem to be too good, honestly. He lost his debut against Journey Newsom. I think a lot of people chose him. We went with Journey Newsom. Just pointing that out.
Yeah.
But Garcia's gone to tons of decisions, even in his LFA career. I mean, if you look at it, he had split decision loss, split decision win, unanimous, split decision win. I mean, he's not really putting a lot of guys out. I like the aggressiveness of Brady, and I think he can get some takedowns in this fight and win a decision.
I think we could see a finish too. We'll stick with decision, but The dude has he puts on a pace, and Fernie Garcia, like you're saying with those split decisions, he doesn't put a stamp on rounds. His hands are kind of just average. I'd say slightly below average. Doesn't put his hands together. It's kind of just one strike at a time. Had a hard time touching Journey Newsome with his punches. Brady, not the best striking defense. Kind of walks into his stuff, but that's just with his aggression. And like we said, it's a size and strength advantage I think we're going to see here with Brady when it goes to the ground. And I like him by decision here. I don't think the odds listed on Tapology are entirely correct. I think Brady.
No, the odds are flipped. Brady's the favorite. I just looked on DraftKings. He's minus 155.
Right. And like I said, I think maybe with the pace that Brady fights this, you could see him get into an advantageous, like, top position, find elbows, or even on the feet. He likes to throw pretty heavy shots. So, yeah. Brady by decision. Okay, for the next fight, we have Maria Oliveira versus Vanessa Demopoulos, the little stripper. And in this fight, kind of a hard, again, not a fight to put a bet on, kind of a hard fight to stamp down. You're looking at Maria Oliveira, who's going to have the high-volume stand-up, versus Vanessa, who wants to fight at the ground. And I'm looking at Maria Oliveira as the winner here. Vanessa didn't put a stamp on that Jinyu Frey fight. In fact, she lost. I don't know how she won the decision. Jinyu Frey won rounds 1 and 2 clearly, and round 3, I think Vanessa just held her up on the fence until she won. Her takedowns aren't good. She got knocked down by Juarez until she found a submission. She does have, she can take a shot and survive and push forward in fights, but I don't find her style incredibly effective. And on the Maria Oliveira side, she put some volume on Gloria DePaula, where it was a close decision, could have gone either way. But overall, I think she uses her stand-up better with her length, and I like Oliveira to find a decision. Do you have anything else for this?
Not much to add. Who really cares about this fight, really?
Yeah, Vanessa Demopoulos is just kind of the girl that jumped into Joe Rogan's arms. It's not really...
Yeah,
that's all she's
Joe Rogan's not there, so she won't be fighting as well.
Precisely. Maria Oliveira by decision. Okay, for the next one, we have Ricky Turcios versus Kevin Natividad. In this one, Kevin is coming off of 2 bad knockout losses in a row. Turcios, on the other hand, came off of a very lackluster bad fight where he didn't fight for the decision at all, truly just called on his opponent to come and attack him, and then he ran away when his opponent did come forward.
Did he even land a strike in that fight? I don't know.
He threw
He threw about 100 of them, but they all missed.
He threw 100 leg kicks that were, or just kicks in general that missed. Dude, he looks like Uncle Rico. I made an Uncle Rico meme when he fucking fought last time. He didn't do shit, just acted scared. I remember hearing the Guru thought maybe he got knocked out in training camp was why he was so shy with the punches, which is actually kind of a fair reasoning behind it, maybe. But I can't trust this dude with my money, but we will pick him.
Yeah, never betting this guy ever again in my life. But, Kevin's just not good at all. So, gotta pick Ricky here, but definitely not betting on.
Well, it's entirely weird because him and Brady had a freaking war, and all of his tough fights were wars, and then he just kind of came in and didn't have any volume, and it was extremely strange. And then Kevin, the 2 knockouts he did have too, he moved into an uppercut from Miles Johns, which looked bad, and he got slapped really uniquely, got folded over like a lawn chair and fell straight to the ground. And then versus Dana, who does hit hard, he got hit kind of on the front of the nose and got knocked out as well. He seems to have pretty good jiu-jitsu and takedown defense just from his Miles Johns fight. He defended all, I think, Miles' takedowns in that fight. But I don't see this one playing off from the back or on the ground too much. I think if it does, maybe Natividad does get Ricky down, but Ricky has good jiu-jitsu. I don't know. This is a fight where it's like betting a split decision might be the fucking move. Because who's gonna put a stamp on anything if Ricky fights the same way? Yeah, I got Turcios by decision. Okay, for the next fight, we have Miles Johns versus Vince Morales. Miles Johns, you just told me before, and I guess we saw on the Tapology thing, is on short notice here in a kind of in a dogfight. Vince Morales is kind of better than what he gets credit for, although he is a big punching bag, especially for kicks. He gets kicked like crazy. But that's also Gutierrez and Jonathan Martinez who mostly did that to him. And Miles Johns, on the other hand, kind of has that wrestling base, but also the touch of death in his hands. Can lose fights off of his gas tank and failing takedowns, but like I said, touch of death. Vince Morales' overall game is kind of just his left hand over the top and I don't know, just stalking his opponent. He's kind of just a dude who eats punches to get to him. So if he can eat all the punches of Miles Johns, he could win this fight, but Miles Johns hits pretty fucking hard, and I'm thinking he'll find a knockout here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think he'll just be able to mix in the grappling and maybe find a knockout or a ground and pound.
And he's the younger fighter here. I think that when you get some of these knockouts with your hands, your confidence with your hands is going to be better as well. And I expect that he's going to find his timing a little bit better and find a knockout here. But another incredibly sketchy fight, I'd say, betting-wise, this is another one to be kind of scared of looking at.
Yeah, staying away.
But yeah, I got Miles Johns by KO round 2. Okay, for our next fight, we have Jennifer Maia versus Maryna Moroz. Maryna Moroz, now a Playboy model, apparently, for some stuff. Check out her Instagram. Anyway, Jennifer Maia, a lot of competitive experience in this division. She's fought the who's who. She's fought everybody, it seems like, in the division. And Maryna Moroz coming off a win versus Maria Adipova, where she looked very good. But this is going to be a close fight. Another one I'm kind of surprised the line isn't just pick 'em right here. I'm going to pick Moroz with the better boxing on the feet. And I think that she skates this one to a decision. She also has that wrestling in her back pocket. Able to take down Adipova and work quickly to mount a position where she could finish her. Jennifer Maia, though, very good off her back. Not super complicated on the feet, just as durable. And people have kind of trouble putting her away. And that's kind of all I got for this one. You got any thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is going to decision. I think Jennifer Maia, I mean, she's fought way better competition with Fro, Chukagian, Shevchenko, who she fought for the belt 4 fights ago.
Yeah.
But I just think better boxing. Rose was a Ukrainian national boxer, if that means anything. And we saw Choi in his last fight. He's a Muay Thai champion, but that
apparently doesn't mean anything. But Lomachenko, you gotta say, maybe she'll fight like Lomachenko in boxing and piece up Jennifer Maia, some slick movement. Probably not. But she has a reach advantage here, too, which could lead to that. I expect another entirely close fight in a split decision. Maybe just bet every fight we hit decision on as a split decision. I think that might be the move. Shit, maybe I'll do that theoretically and just see what that comes out to this weekend. But yeah, I got Moroz's decision here. Okay, for the next fight, we have Zhalgas Zhumagulov versus Charles Johnson. Looking at I think a tough guy versus a more technical fighter fight here. Zhalgas, being more of the tough guy here, walks into punches, likes to get into the clinch and throw a lot of overhands. Charles Johnson on the other side, more of a boxer, good hands. And what's your call for this fight?
Yeah, I think Charles Johnson's going to win a decision here. Zhumagulov has only been knocked out by Manel Kape, who we all know is on steroids. I think this fight is going the over. I'm interested to see what that line would be at, but I like Johnson by decision.
Yeah, I think Johnson actually holds a good pace in the first round. Gets a good feeling out process. Very good in the LFA. That fight with Carlos Mata, very impressive. Heard him a couple times in that fight. And if you're going to look at his Muhammad Mokaev fight, he did get taken down like 10 times, but also instantly gets up after things. You're not going to see that too often with many fighters in Mokaev probably in the future. He's very good on his hip control. Even when he got taken down, he did a couple somersaults, which you might see like Mateus Gamrot, which he used on like Arman Sarukian, getting out of bad positions. And I think that he can circle the cage here and outbox Zhalgas to a decision. Zhalgas, not the best record, but has actually some good competition in this flyweight division, and somehow seems to sneak out some fights. But overall skill set, the boxing should be the story of the fight here, and I'm hoping he'll be more high volume. That's kind of my hope. But yeah, Charles Johnson by decision. Okay, for the next fight, we have Jack Della Maddalena versus Danny Roberts. This is a alley-oop for the UFC to Jack Della Maddalena. I think I always say that name wrong. No, maybe I'm saying it right. But Jack Della Maddalena. But I think you guys know what our pick's going to be here, so I'll let you announce it.
Jack Della Maddalena is going to get a first-round knockout. It's perfect timing, as he'll want to get on that Australia card in February, and then hopefully he'll find an easy fight there as well and get another victory.
I mean, I remember when he fought, Ramazan Ameev in his last fight, and I remember the KO prop was like plus 350 or something because it was a close fight. But like this dude has won every single one of his fights, I think, besides Angelosa, by KO. And what I really like about his game is he's just touching people until he finds the kill shot. And you'll see that in the Pete Rodriguez fight. He couldn't even find a moment. I mean, even with the Ramazan Ameev fight, he kind of throws those hands out there. He wanted to see what Ameev wanted to do in the fight first. Got taken down, defended the submission, and got back up. But he touches his opponent until he finds the kill shot, and I really like that about his game. And opponents will crumple under his volume.
Yeah, he doesn't like overswing. He's got a super nice jab. We saw that he was piecing Pete Rodriguez up with that, and he even goes to the body too, and got Ameev with a liver punch in that fight.
I'd say that in my mind, Jack is like the welterweight version of Dustin Poirier. He just doesn't put. He's got some good defensive boxing and shows up and touches his opponents until he can use that power. And it's very good for like if people are going to gas out or not. Usually you see people with all these knockouts on their record and they slow down as the fight goes on. I haven't seen that from Jack. I think the Angelosa fight is a good example of it. And then, like, his opponent that he's facing here just sets up for a first-round knockout. Danny Roberts versus Francisco Trinaldo got hurt, like, twice in round 2, maybe 3 times in round 3. He was just consistently hurt, doesn't have a good chin, older fighter here. This is a layup. Doesn't really put a stamp on any of much of his wins, and has been knocked out before. And I see this as a pretty easy fight for Jack. Anything else from you?
Yeah, Jack's only 26 years old. They're going to want to build him up. He's looking like a good prospect right now. So that's it.
I'll ask you. Are you going to play any prop of KO in this, or are you just going to? I didn't know if maybe you would just do Jack's money line parlay, or what's your thoughts?
I'll probably do that too. I mean, I'm curious what the knockout prop would be at.
It'll probably be minus. I would have to assume it's like gonna be minus 150. But the books with some of these guys coming up, I don't think they know everything. I think this is gonna be a sweep. But yeah, Jack, Della, KO round 1. Okay, for the next fight we have Cody Brundage versus Rodolfo Vieira. Rodolfo Vieira, you may have watched that last fight versus Chris Curtis and said, well, he went, what was it, 0 for 22 on takedowns. It was some crazy number. But he actually won the first round off of his jab, looked good in moments, just touching up Chris Curtis sometimes, who's low volume. And his stand-up is far improved. His head movement isn't great, but he actually has a very good jab for someone with a jiu-jitsu base. And I think that his ability to mix in hands, it will work to a takedown here and lead to a submission victory. If you're looking at Cody Brundage, just beat Tresean Gore, but the fight really hardly got going. Tresean got caught by a weird shot. Tresean also cuts a lot of weight.
Yeah, apparently he had a bad weight cut in that fight. I don't know if that's true, but
I mean, every time he gets on the scales, it looks like his cheeks are sunken and his eyes are. He just looks weird. But Cody also looked not too great in his Dalcha fight. When he got punched, he crumpled up and kind of found the last second guillotine, but the fight didn't look like it was headed his way before that. Got beat by Nick Maximov in a wrestling match. And Rodolfo here will be a lot bigger of a fighter. And if he gets that fight to the ground, which I think he still can, Chris Curtis has some of the best takedown defense. I think you're going to see Rodolfo find a submission here in round 1. I think he mixes up the hands until he finds a submission, uses his strength to finish him off. And yeah, Rodolfo Vieira, submission round 1. Okay, for the next fight, we have Muslim Salikhov versus Andre Fialho. In this, you're kind of looking at two different types of strikers. You're looking at Muslim Salikhov, who, as his name kind of suggests, King of Kung Fu, very good rangy fighter. Steps into range, good straight punches. Also has great spinning techniques, which lead to body shots or potential head kicks. And then on the other side, you have Andre Fialho, who's kind of got that Alex Pereira kind of style, likes the left hook. That's just kind of his shot. And has hard hands. Every time he hits somebody, they seem to feel it. And I'll let you announce the decision here.
Yeah, it's a really close fight, and the odds say that as well. It's pretty much a pick 'em, but I'm leaning towards Muslim Salikhov here. Even though he did lose his last fight against Jin Liang, but before that he was on a 5-5 win streak. I think the longer this fight goes, I think it leans towards him as well. I think Fialho, if he doesn't find the knockout early, I don't think he'll win this one.
I'm looking at another knockout against Andre Fialho here. I don't know if you agree with me on that, but
yeah, if it does, I'd see it in round 2 or 3.
I'm gonna say late round 2, but Salikhov, the whole thing that Andre Fialho did, he did the same thing with Jake Matthews. He played the game of will you come into range where I can touch you? And Jake Matthews just in and out of range, and he could not touch him. He had 0 moments in that fight. And Salikhov, on the other hand, he's going to fight a similar style. It's going to be in and out of range, tough to touch him. The leech who knocked out Salikhov is pretty good at cutting down distance to getting people out of there. He does. I will say Salikhov does slow down potentially in fights, especially when you do some of those spinning techniques, and he is a bit older. Fialho, though, also got caught by Cameron Van Camp before he got killed, and Cameron Van Camp walked into a bunch of punches just recently and got knocked out. Doesn't look as good. Miguel Baez had got knocked out before Fialho beat him. I think the style is just going to be hard for Fialho to win this fight. Salikhov should beat him to a decision, possibly, if he just wants to point fight. But Fialho's just going to try to counter Salikhov. I think Salikhov's going to find a way to put him out of there. And Jake Matthews hurt Fialho like 4 times in their fight until he found a finish. So, yeah, I got Salikhov by knockout round 2. For the next fight, we have Chase Sherman, the Mr. Main Card, versus Where's Waldo, Cortes Acosta. I'm kind of surprised. I see the Tapology community is going 82% for Acosta and 18% versus Sherman. And I know there's MMA math that comes into this that's kind of weird. But Cortes Acosta did not impress at all for me in his last fight. He did the Ricky Turcios. He sat at range, said, "Hey, Jared Vandeira, come fight me," or whatever. And then Jared Vandeira kicked his legs, and he got dramatic with the damage that was done. And
that was only 3 weeks ago. I mean, I don't know how fast those legs can heal, but his leg was getting chewed up. I mean, I think Sherman, if he was smart, I think he would just chop down that leg. And
right. And Sherman has that better boxing than what Jared Vandeira has. And I think Cortes Acosta actually takes a lot of the power out of his shots with his baseball type of style. Like, his elbow isn't behind his punches. He throws his punches kind of like a pitcher throws a baseball. There's snap on it, but his elbow isn't behind. He doesn't have all the mass behind his fist to back up that punch. And I don't think he's as powerful as people think. And this is another... Beating Jared Vandeira isn't much confirmation for me to say that you're a good fighter and gonna go anywhere. Again, I don't know why this fight's on the main card. I think that Chase Sherman's gonna find a knockout here. It could totally go to decision as well, but Cortes Acosta did not look good. The leg kicks could lead to a finish, like you're thinking as well, you know. And
it just seems weird that, like, it seemed like he took a ton of damage on that lead leg, and he's only fighting 3 weeks later.
And Jared Vandeira, I don't know why he didn't stick with the leg kicks, because he was hurting his leg in the first round, and then in the late rounds, you pretty much didn't see him use it at all anymore. So I just have to assume that Chase will use those leg kicks. I think he has better hands clearly than Vandeira with his knockout over Vandeira. But this is going to be a close fight. I don't see Cortes Acosta going to the ground, taking him down at all. And I see Chase Sherman winning this one by second round knockout. I will not bet anything on this fight. But even the over is scary or the under is scary. So, yeah. Chase Sherman, KO round 2. Next fight we have is Ion Tutalaba versus Kennedy Nzechukwu. Talked actually some about Kennedy Nzechukwu last week with UFC 281 and some of his similar opponents. Another interesting fight lined up for Ion Tutalaba. You know, he got beat by Ryan Spann by a guillotine choke, then gets choked out by Johnny Walker, and he's facing, in my opinion, who might be, next to Johnny Walker, the biggest person in this division, and Kennedy Nzechukwu, who doesn't really have all the submissions on his resume, but is just freaking massive and is going to be another tough opponent for Ion Tutalaba to deal with. He's not the biggest dude for this division. So what's your pick?
Yeah, I mean, tough fight to call. I'm leaning towards Kennedy, maybe first or second round knockout. I think Kulabau will spam those takedowns and gas himself out and then get finished because of it.
Yeah, I mean, Tutalaba did that versus Johnny Walker. Well, I tried to get into range, and then Johnny Walker reversed him, right? Something like that. And
something like that. I remember this Ryan Spann one. He took him down like 3 times in a minute, and then I think maybe shot another takedown and got guillotined.
even with the Nikolai Nedomarianu fight with Kennedy Nzechukwu, he defended takedowns in that one. I hardly even count that as a loss on his resume. this is just an overall weird fight. The under, as we kind of talked about before we started this recording, looks very good for this fight, just because Ion always sets a pace, and Kennedy will be the larger guy, and his recent losses are by punches, or by submissions. I don't see really a submission for Kennedy here. Maybe because he's so goddamn big, but I think Kennedy wins this one by a knockout. Another close fight, though. It could go either way in that first round. And for the main event, we have Derrick Lewis versus Sergey Spivak. Derrick Lewis, getting older, kind of taking his veteran losses currently, but getting beat by Sergey Pavlovich in a questionable stoppage, but also don't let your head hit the canvas like a dummy. Was beating Tai Tuivasa until he kind of ate one big shot, which led to a bunch of punches in a row and finished him.
Yeah, it seemed like he gassed out after the first round.
He had some moments where they just tried to trade leather, and he was winning them, and he had Ty's face jammed up against the canvas, and had some strikes on him, but Ty's tough and survived. Chris Daukaus, kind of a layup fight for me, like in my opinion, when we made the call on that one. Derrick,
yeah, and he was an underdog in that one.
Bizarre.
Yeah,
and Derrick just had a 30. He cuts to 165, so he had like a 40-pound weight advantage over him, and it was just one shot dead for Daukaus. It's not even it wasn't even a fair matchup. And on the Spivak side, you're looking at 2 quick wins over Sakai, very dominant, and Greg Hardy, which was a pretty laughable fight. But then lost to Tom Aspinall, and in general uses a hip toss style. He doesn't like to do single legs, double legs. Everything is trips. Body lock trips, things that just take less effort. And in this fight, go ahead, you make the pick.
Yeah, I'll be siding with Sergey Spivak here. I'm assuming knockout round 2 is what I'll pick.
Yeah, well, Derrick Lewis, here's something I think about. Sergey Spivak gets a lot of his knockouts when people are up against the fence, or his trips and takedowns, when people are up against the fence and they don't know their balance that well, and that was very apparent with Augusto Sakai. Derrick Lewis, when he's up on the fence, he stands very straight up. And if you see Spivak get control of his hips, it's just going to be Lewis on his back. He also does a good job in that Sakai fight of getting a lot of his weight over his opponent's hips, and they have a lot of trouble getting up. Derrick seems to have this weird thing with wrestlers, though. Right, old buddy?
Yeah, he beats him. Curtis Blades, I mean, he was plus 300 underdog in that fight and knocked Curtis Blades out with a nice uppercut, one punch. Alexei Oleinik, Lear Latifi. It's weird, like, you don't think he'll... Every time you doubt Lewis, that's when he wins.
There's some of those videos, too, of, like, Lewis on YouTube. It's like, fuck it, I'll get up. And it's like just a compilation of Derrick where he's on the ground with a wrestler and he puts one hand down and gets up.
Yeah.
And it's going to be kind of hard for him to do that. I think if he tries to get up, Spivak will find a trip to put him right back down. But throwing around that weight, and of course Lewis has the touch of death, that one-punch knockout power. You don't know if Spivak will even get in a range to where he can get those takedowns, and like how Curtis Blades kind of went into him. But if Spivak cuts down that distance just once, it's probably his fight to take, and I'll take those odds on him cutting that distance down. So Spivak by round 2 looks good here. Also, fight to not go the distance is probably a pretty good bet. So, or
yeah, I mean, even if
it'd be like minus 500 for it not going the distance. So
yeah.
You're probably looking like under 2.5, under 3.5 rounds.
Yeah, even if it goes later to like round 2 or 3, I mean, Lewis will probably be gassing out and just curl up. And
his balls will be hot.
Yeah.
So, also Derrick Lewis main events don't seem to turn out too great, other than the Dawkins one. But, yeah, Sergey Spivak, KO round 2. Alright guys, these were our picks for Lewis versus Spivak. Bets video will be out Thursday night. NFL picks video Wednesday night. Stay tuned to this card. Check out the Instagram to get all those bets early. And anything else from you?
Like, comment, subscribe. If you're riding with Derrick Lewis, comment down below. If you're riding with Spivak, let us know.
Comment your favorite Black Beast line, maybe. I don't know. There's only like 10% of people that are probably around this part anyway. But
my balls was hot.
My balls is hot. Peace.